Hello, everybody, once again. Thank you for watching. This is another episode of the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. I'm your host, Barry Welsh, and we talk about things on here other programs don't talk about. And we talk about news that's alternative. We talk about things that are going on that don't draw the attention of mainstream media. And of course, when we have our programs, the guests that come on, their opinions are their own, as always. And we want to welcome somebody tonight that I've been looking forward to talking to. His name's Billy from the Bay Area, San Francisco, originally. And Billy, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And it's important because you're going to give us some clarity on what Antifa is. And from what I've gleaned, Antifa is an idea. Antifa was a group that was formed in Nazi Germany and then surfaced here in the United States in the 70s to battle the skinheads, if I'm not mistaken. But is the present day definition of Antifa more of a coalition or a group of like-minded groups? As opposed to an individual group?
Yes, before I get started, I do want to just point out that I am speaking for myself. I'm not a member of any particular organization,
right?
And that includes the fictional Antifa group.
Okay, Antifa is a fictional group. There is no such thing as a group called Antifa, correct?
Correct, and just to point out that I believe one of the recent FBI directors did also say that when he was questioned in Congress, because Trump made those outrageous allegations to label Antifa as some kind of terrorist organization or something. And it's an umbrella of ideals of anti-fascism. You're either on the side of supporting fascism or you're on the side of being against fascism.
Okay.
And so, I just wanted to say that, but okay. Yeah, there we go.
All right. Okay. And your background, you've got anti-racism, anti-discrimination, anti-authoritarianism, anti-fascism.
And so what that means is that we, in our coalition, we are going to have many different groups. I myself am all about peace. I don't participate in punching Nazis or things like that. I also don't shed a tear if some white supremacist like Richard Spencer gets punched in the face. I'm not going to be defending that person.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. I myself have been kind of, involved in different anti-fascist actions on and off for 20 plus years, mostly out in the Bay Area. Like for me, like I'll just give you an example.
Yes.
They had a action a couple of years ago with that former Breitbart individual. There's like Milo something.
Right, I remember that. Yes.
He was in Berkeley. They approved him to go speak there. There were some of my brethren, anti-fascists in the coalition that did not want him to speak there. I myself did not see him as a threat.
Okay.
And didn't necessarily see him as a white supremacist. He definitely sympathizes with those people, but I was actually okay with him speaking there because I wanted somebody to debate him and just take him out that way. Right. Other groups were not for that, and they shut the whole place down. And and some people that I know were part of that, and I respect them and their points of view. But for that particular action, I personally did not participate in that.
Okay.
But so I guess for me, I just want to just say right out in the open, I like your show. I appreciate what you're trying to do. That organization against all racism. I think that's what you're doing is great.
Thank you.
My only criticism really right now is that you've given a platform to the Bugaloo people. in all my years, I've never seen anybody from any groups. I don't want to say names of groups because I don't want them to be stereotyped or things like that. But never once has anybody ever said, "Oh yes, the Bugaloos are on our side. Oh yes, we're calling the Bugaloos to be security for us and bring their guns. We've got our own weapons. We don't need Bugaloo people coming in." Just one quick example. When the most recent BLM things were going down, there was a federal agent that was shot in Oakland. I don't know if you remember about that.
Yes, I do.
And the media were all over that, blaming all the social justice people out there fighting for for justice, and blaming that group and other legitimate groups for killing a federal agent. And later it came out that it was supposedly a Bugaloo was arrested. And that was just a quick little cliff note. And then people moved on from that. And it kind of gave a very negative light to the whole movement, with George Floyd and all that. I don't know anybody that ever invited the Bugaloos to join them. And, so I just want to throw that out there that.
No, that's important information. It's important information to get out.
So, and we're talking about, the Bugaloos setting up some kind of march on the Capitol and all this stuff. That is just, as far as I know, all my contacts and all the people that I know and all the groups that I've been part of, not one of them want to have anything to do with that or want to be part of that. So
that's good to know too. That's good to know too. It's good to know who is in locations. The Bugaloo have said they're going to come out on the 17th, if I'm not mistaken. And those that are calling themselves patriots are planning on coming out tomorrow. Is that what information you have as well?
Yes, and just to throw out there also, another thing having to do with the Bugaloos. I know you talked about wanting to set up kind of like a conference to have all different groups come together and discuss, try to work things out.
Yeah.
I don't see if the Bugaloos are going to be part of that. I don't see any of my brethren, any of my comrades, any of them want to participate in that because we don't. It's at least for me.
How do you personally? How do you view the Bugaloo movement?
I look at them as not necessarily being white supremacists, but being sympathizers. Marching with. There's going to be all these militia groups, these far right militia groups, and these right wingers coming out there on the Capitol. And the Bugaloo apparently are self-admitting that they organized this for several months now. And the only way I could see myself or other like-minded folk coming to a peace conference would be as if the Bugaloo members renounce their organization and what they're all about. I just don't see them as allies. So I'm just going to throw that out there. I want to be completely transparent with you. I like your show. I like what you're doing, but I do not like giving that person or that group a platform to say what they're going to say. We could have an honest disagreement, agree to disagree, but that's that,
Yeah, fair enough. Do you anticipate like-minded brethren being in Washington, D.C. this weekend, being in state capitals, or is this one that, we're for me, stay home and let the troops and the police do their thing?
Yeah, for me, it's not my role to be defending Nancy Pelosi or those folk. I know in the past we have had some actions to defend electors or defend the vote, because it seems like these Trump cult people are targeting black voters, where they were trying to disenfranchise Atlanta, Detroit, Philadelphia. You see the pattern,
right?
And we're not for that. You got to look back. You talked earlier about the history of Antifa and them in the streets battling the brown shirts,
right?
It actually,
1939 Nazi Germany before.
Yeah, well, you could also look at The
Spain.
yeah, I was about to say the Spanish Civil War.
Yeah.
They have that famous British writer that went there and fought.
Ernest Hemingway.
Yeah,
Ernest Hemingway.
and also George Orwell
Yeah.
also went to Spain, and they were not defending a communist state or an anarchist state. They were defending a democratically elected government,
Yeah.
which a fascist was trying to overthrow, and sadly did accomplish that goal for a whole host of reasons. But it just kind of shows you that being an anti-fascist does not mean that you're a far leftist. It's a very wide, the biggest umbrella you could have for an organization that's fictional, because it's like I said, it doesn't have a board of directors. There is no one leader. Like I pointed out earlier, the stuff in Berkeley, some groups in the Anti-Fascist Coalition were for that, shutting down that debate. Other groups were not for that.
Okay.
But we all stand together against. Let me give you another example. The issue that in Montana, I don't know if you remember that, there was that Jewish person in Montana, and neo-Nazis came out, trying to think of what the name of that terrible organization. It might have been the Daily Stormer or Stormfront, one of these right-wing fascist groups, and they came out and tried to go after the Jewish people, and they end up they sued and actually won the lawsuit. But we stand with our Jewish brethren, with those that are oppressed, and I just want to throw that out there.
Okay, and you mentioned that a little bit ago. You mentioned that you don't need the Bugaloos guns. That Antifa have their own weapons and own strategies and.
Well, there are some groups that are all for peace and follow Gandhi and Martin Luther King, and do not have arms and are on a completely 100% peaceful way. There are other groups that do support the right to bear arms and to defend ourselves. And I'm just going to throw out there that that thing that happened on January 6th, the insurrection by the Trump cultists. There were some self-defense. I don't know if you saw any of the footage, but there were some self-defense, some black organizations for self-defense. I'm not going to say names, but they were out there in Washington, D.C., and they came out there because they didn't want to have what happened before in December with the Proud Boys trespassing black churches and desecrating things. And they came out there. There were some live streams of them walking around protecting black-owned businesses. And I could see them coming back out to make sure that these people marching on the Capitol, that the residents will be defended. So I salute them for coming out there. And because it's a city that doesn't have open carry, they did come out there unarmed, but they came out there with their bodies on the line to defend these churches, to defend these black-owned businesses from these insurrectionists.
And that's how that's how I view the Trump people as well. But you call them cultists.
Yes, I because fascism is a lot more than just one person. But right now, it does seem like it is one man.
There's a cult of personality going on.
There is
Trump.
And I want to say something else too, that Biden is no friend of peace movements and things like that.
Right.
But he was legitimately democratically elected, got over 80 million votes. And I know some activists that actually went from California. They went to Arizona, they went to Georgia, and they went to register people to vote. They went to give support to these people. And they were part of the reason for flipping those states Democrat. And I'm just going to say, they are not themselves Democrats, but they were looking at the bigger picture. And it's a fascist threat. And everything Trump represents is that. So I don't personally see different Antifa, anti-fascist groups coming out to, battle Proud Boys or any of these terrible organizations. But I could see, like I said earlier, I could see some self-defense groups coming out to defend these places, because we already know that, the U.S. government, they're not necessarily out there to, back up some, defense.
They have their own interests.
Yes, they do. They do. So I really appreciate you giving me this platform to speak.
My pleasure.
I have a feeling that one of the reasons why you haven't gotten somebody in the past was probably because of giving that voice to this Bugaloo group. But that, that's just my perspective, my opinion on it. But
yeah,
that a lot of anti-fascist organizations, they don't necessarily believe in 100% the First Amendment. If it involves groups out there and individuals talking about, the Holocaust wasn't real or not enough people died.
Yeah. We had none of that. Is that part of some Boogaloo rhetoric? Because
I don't want to put something in your mouth or their mouth, but I just see the Bugaloo people is that they're uniting with some of the worst of the worst, and they're marching with some of the worst of the worst. So that's just my take on that. But if the individual or individuals you've had on the show renounce that, and then maybe you'd have more guests of my like-minded view.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't right. What I know and what I've seen with the chats and the emails and the websites and things like that, and the individuals I've talked to, I don't see anybody getting buses of people to come out there to, join with them or oppose them. We're not gonna, they could eat themselves,
Yes. And that's my recommendation for this weekend is anybody that's not a supporter of Donald Trump, stay away. Let the people expose themselves. Let us know who they are and what's in their hearts, and let there be no question about who's doing these things. And
yeah, and I was going to say that they look like they were exposing themselves. They were bragging about what they were doing on the Capitol, posting videos.
You do know that there's a video going around accusing somebody of being a provocateur. Somebody in Antifa supposedly confessing that they were part of the Capitol riots. One individual, and I don't think that should be surprising, should it? That
I don't see it being surprising, because like I keep saying, Antifa is a fictional organization. Right. The FBI said this when Trump has tried to label them, whatever. I can see somebody wanting to get some attention and making some kind of claim. But I'll tell you, in all the time I've been involved with different anti-fascist actions, 101 is, you put a mask on, you cover your face. You don't out there where everyone can see you. I know they had that false story that the Washington Times retracted that claimed that there was some kind of technology that showed there was some Antifa person there, and then they end up saying, oh, actually that's not true. But I could see somebody wanting some attention and being like, oh, it was me. But they don't need a anti-fascist person who's in an anarchist movement or whatever movement to provide. They already had Donald Trump Jr., they had Donald Trump, they had Giuliani. They had these people saying this rhetoric right in front for the whole world to see. They don't need they don't need some little group, getting them set off. And apparently there were congressmen that were involved in this, that were doing tours the day before, and the stuff's coming out, and we'll see how this all goes down. But
okay, one final thing, Billy, before I let you go. You said basically there's no hierarchy, and that no one's calling the shots. How does it work? How do people know when and where to show up and what to bring? And I mean,
so I'll give you an example. A few years ago,
without exposing anything.
Yeah, without exposure. So back in, I think it was 2015 or 2016, back when Trump was running for, he was either running for office or he already won. There was a group in California, a skinhead group, and they came out to Sacramento. And I don't remember what their protest in particular was about, but at the end of the day, it was about recruitment. They're looking to recruit folks to join their movement. And us in the Antifa Coalition, we weren't for that. They sent out mass messages to all the various groups to come out, stand up against this, stand up against genocide and white supremacy. And we came out in big numbers. It was in Sacramento at the Capitol building. They did end up having weapons, even though it's not an open carry state, but they did have weapons. There were some people that were, there were some injuries that took place, but we came out in force, 5-1, 10-1 against them, and we shut that place down. And so, you know, that's kind of what we, a lot of the time it's either word of mouth or it's email or chat. You know, but it's just so many.
There's no one person. There's no one person saying everybody needs to be here. It is more a reactionary factor that this is going on. Anybody that wants to oppose it, we're going to be here opposing it.
Yes, and that's and exactly. And there's and because we're you know, we support you know, all the sexual orientations, all the different races, all the different class. You know, we're very open to everybody. So there's a lot of groups, and sometimes some groups agree with the call to action, sometimes other ones don't, and that's how it goes. I just wanted, before we get off, I want to mention if people want to learn more about the anti-fascist movement and things like that, check out a lecture by college professor Mark Bray.
Mark Bray, B-R-A-Y?
Correct. He's got a lot of lectures on YouTube. He's written books about the anti-fascist movement, and he's an academic, a scholar, and he discusses this. And he also addresses the whole violence head on, and points out that over 90% of the actions, the vast majority of actions, are always peaceful. There's very few actions that involve any kind of violence, and it's usually more of a self-defense kind of thing. But I urge your watchers to check out Mark Bray and what he has to say about these. He's not some guy living in someone's basement or something. He's very good on this topic.
Awesome. Billy, I thank you for coming on and sharing. You know, that's one of the big purposes of the program is for me and others to learn, to have the opportunity to listen to sides that we're not exposed to. And I'm sure everybody hearing this did not have that perception of Antifa, the umbrella, if you will, beforehand. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
All right. Thank you. There we go. It is the American Doofus Show. I'm going to be back on later on tonight, probably around 10 p.m. I'm going to do a live ahead of what's coming this weekend, and we'll be discussing various topics and taking your questions and concerns. And until then, be a light, dark world, stay alive. I love you all.